episode of Making the Call. I'm joined this week by Rosie, and we're going to be breaking down all the action from conference championship weekend in the NFL. We'll do a quick kind of look ahead to the Super Bowl. We'll have a full Super Bowl dedicated episode next week with all of our props and favorite bets and everything. That's one of my
favorite. Watching the Super Bowl? Come on. No one wants this.
Are you not going to watch?
I probably will, but
you will. Everyone's
I'll have to bring
to.
myself to do it.
Hey, we will get, even if you're not that interested in the game, we will get to hear Kendrick Lamar call Drake a certified pedophile on the biggest stage in the world. So
looking forward to that.
Maybe
he'll bring him on.
Oh, like a mending of the
yeah.
How about
they
that?
sing it together.
Oh,
he's just coming.
That would be a twist.
I wonder if there's odds for that.
I'm sure there are. There's odds for everything. But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, kind of like initial read on that, and then we'll get into some NFL coaching news because the Cowboys they did something, and then there's some other like smart coaching decisions that were made. So throughout the league. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about all the drama with Liam Cohen and the Jaguars and the Buccaneers and
Duval.
Exactly. The press conference that is sweeping the nation. And then Rosie is going to bless us with some dynasty buy lows.
Yes, sir.
This is the off season. I think this is the end season for dynasty. This is really where you can set yourself up for success. So I'm excited to see who you've got identified as a buy low in dynasty. But before we get to all the football, we got to do our one big headline. So Rosie, how about you kick us off?
Yeah. So, when you get married, you're like combining your finances and stuff. We got married in 2020. So for the last 5 years, I have said that our change that we save is going towards a Lions Super Bowl. Saving up enough because, by then I'll probably have saved up enough change. Yeah. And so I have this much. It's obviously not enough. So now is not the time. And that's why they lost.
He just showed a big mason jar for those who are not watching the video podcast on Spotify. But
go watch
do you have an idea about how much you have?
This is probably like $50.
Okay, yeah, you're
Here,
like,
listen.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess like 484 based on how that sounded.
We'll have a poll on the Spotify. Whoever guesses correctly can have it.
It's at least $1. That's my guess.
Yes, there's a $2 bill in here.
It's got to be more than $1. Yeah. Okay, so this year is not the year because you haven't saved up enough change.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. Why. All right. There you go. My one big headline is we got some news this week about the Rangers and their new Ranger Sports Network, the new TV situation for how we can watch the Texas Rangers. Basically, we got a lot of news, but there is still some news pending. So they announced the new cable providers. We already found out a few weeks ago that they have partnered with Victory Plus, the app that the Stars games are on for free, and you can pay $100 for the whole season and watch all the Rangers games, which that by itself, pretty good deal. But then they also announced some cable partners today. They already have partnerships with, I believe, Spectrum, DirecTV Stream, and AT&T Uverse. So, obviously, the one that I think we're all waiting for is, can we get it on YouTube TV? Can we get it on Hulu? Can we get it on Fubo? Can we get it on the streaming cable? Those haven't been announced yet, but they are still basically the Rangers' official position is they're still finalizing deals with additional providers. So this is like the initial list, but they're hoping to get it on more. This is so much better than Bally. Like, even if they don't get on YouTube TV and I have to pay an extra $100, I'll do that because then I like have the certainty. Like watching it on Bally for the last however many years was like such a grind. And if I just pay $100, I open up an app and boom, there's my Rangers. Like that's great. Uh, Ideal world is it's on YouTube TV and then I don't have to pay anything extra for it because we already have YouTube TV. But it seems like they are trying, and they're also going to have select games will be broadcast over the air for free on the CW. But I think it's like 15 games, so it's not going to be a lot. But it seems like they're really trying to cover as much, like cover as many households as they possibly can. Because Trent might disagree with this, but the way the Stars are doing it, which I love, like as someone who is all in on streaming and watching sports that way, like I think being able to stream your local team for free, like that is how it should be. I don't think this is going to come as a shocker to you, Rosie, that I think the demographic for Rangers fans is probably slightly older than the demographic for Stars fans. And
I
I
would agree. Yeah.
think the Rangers are taking that into consideration. Like they have a lot of older people who are watching the Rangers who live out in, podunk towns in Texas. They're not going to download Victory Plus and then figure out how to make an account and pay $100. They've had a Spectrum bill for 20 years and they want to be able to punch in, 3 digits and boom, there's your Rangers game. So they're trying to kind of do it all, which I think is the right approach. I just hope that they can get on some of the more on like the internet cable companies like YouTube TV and Fubo and DirecTV, or not DirecTV, Hulu. I think that'd be really great. But all in all, it's better than Bally, which is really all I can ask for. All right, let's get into some football. Conference championship. We don't need to like do detailed breakdowns of all the games because I don't know if it feels like this to you. I feel like those games happened like forever ago.
Yeah.
But I do want to do just kind of like a little bit of cleanup. We'll start with the Bills Chiefs, and I think it's fair to say that Josh Allen is officially this generation's Peyton Manning. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. He might be better than Peyton Manning, to be honest. Like I get all the glory behind Peyton Manning, but Peyton could never run, and now that Josh Allen has really limited those interceptions, there's a case to be made that like as a talent, he's better. But I hope he can get through Mahomes and get to the Super Bowl.
I know.
It's going to be tough. Like Mahomes always finds a way to light up the Bills' defense for whatever reason, even if they have all the pieces.
Yeah. No, it's that game, like, okay. I'll make this point and then we can circle back on the Commanders piece of it. But I think the story for both the Bills and the Commanders on Sunday was very similar. Both QBs played out of their mind and were doing everything that they possibly could to win that football game, but the supporting cast let them down. Whether it was all the fumbles and turnovers for the Commanders, whether it was Dalton Kincaid dropping that just like incredible pass by Josh Allen, or the poor play calling by the coaching staff where you don't use James Cook once on like your final 7 plays when that had been like your most explosive play was handing the ball off to James Cook. Continuing to run Josh Allen as a QB sneak and that just kept getting stuffed time and time again. It just like I felt bad for Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels because it was like they didn't deserve to lose those games, but they did. And because the NFL it's a quarterback league, like the conversation is going to be about them, but they're not the reason they lost. And like they were both just playing out of their mind. Like that touchdown pass that Josh Allen had to Mac Hollins was
incredible,
perfect. Like I was watching it with my father-in-law, who's a Chiefs fan, and we were both saying the same thing of just like there's no defense to protect against that. Like that is the perfect pass where it doesn't matter how good the coverage is. He literally dropped it in a bucket, and you just have to tip your cap and you move on.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels had one of those uh, last week against the Lions as well. Like perfect throws. Like Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen have been they were both amazing, and it's so sad because like even on the last play for Kincaid, like he just jumped to the wrong spot. It wasn't even like it was
Mm-hmm.
off. It just he
Yep.
jumped to the wrong spot.
Yep.
It feels so bad.
Yeah. And I do want to talk about the Chiefs here for a little bit because I think like they are such a killer, like in every facet of the game, where you have to play perfect football to have a chance to beat them, like especially in the playoffs. But not only on top of that, like you almost have to play a level above whatever perfect is because they're going to be doing things that you're not going to expect. And they're going like I'm going to talk specifically about coaching because I think in the Bills Chiefs game, coaching was the difference. Like some of the things that Andy Reid was doing on offense, and obviously that corner blitz that Spags called on
Insane
that
call.
incredible Josh Allen play. It was like they were doing things late in the game that they hadn't done all game or all season. The Bills weren't ready for it. And it's like those playoff games where those two teams are so evenly matched, it comes down to legitimately like one or two play calls, and that ends up being the difference.
Well, then the
And
Chiefs fumbled 5 times, and the Bills recovered all 5 of them, and they still wasn't enough.
did they fumble 5 times?
Yeah, one was called back on a penalty,
Okay.
but yes,
Did you see the tweet about because obviously the corner blitz has been getting all the attention, but when the Chiefs ran that QB keeper to go up, they were down 22-21. Like I'm looking at it as like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they ran that QB keeper with Mahomes. Did you see like some of the details about that after the fact?
no, I mean I know that that's a rare thing that they do that.
So Greg Rousseau on the Bills, their defensive lineman, said that the Chiefs were running plays they hadn't seen before, such as that exact play where they did like in all of their film breakdowns, they were looking at all the film from all the Chiefs games all season. They never ran that play.
Yeah,
And then Andy Reid pulls it out because if you go back and watch it here, I'm going to actually here, let me see. Can I go? Oh, gosh. Did you just hear that or was it just me?
it was just you.
Okay. Okay. Good, good, good. I'm going to share my screen. We can watch it together. Again, go watch on Spotify. Um, you'll get to see this as well. I don't think they'll copyright us, but we're just going to go for it. Let's see. All right, can you see that?
Yeah,
Okay. So run this QB keeper. All right. And specifically, you see that they pull I think it's the left guard. Well, let's watch it again.
yeah, the left side of the line.
Yeah. And so if you watch everything, like the rest of the linemen, except for the guard and the tight end, everything else is crashing to the left. And so if you watch the Bills defense, they are all crashing to the left, thinking that it's going to be a run play that way. And then Mahomes with one guard and a tight end just sneaks out to the right, and there's just no one. Like, watch the Bills defense. They all just crash to the same side. Okay. They all go there, and then, oh, shoot, there's Mahomes and touchdown. Like, they hadn't run that play all year, and Andy Reid's like, yeah, all right, there's going to be a moment where we're going to pull this out, and we just got to be ready for it. And like, that's coaching. That's the difference coaching makes.
Yeah, Andy Reid's up there as the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Where I'll let you go first. Where do you think the Bills go from here?
Well, I think when Mac Hollins is your leading receiver, you have issues. Like I get that they tried to solve that with Amari Cooper, and I think that was a good trade. Like they did what they were
Yeah.
supposed to do. They drafted Keon Coleman, which I personally would have rather had Lad. But still, he's a developing deep threat, and they try to use him in this game. I think you just need to give Josh Allen more ammo because it doesn't seem like anything that they do with this defense is going to fix it against the Chiefs. Even when they have like the best defense in the country, like that game. Oh, what was the last time they played in the playoffs? I think they had the number one ranked defense coming in and just got
Yeah.
smacked by the Chiefs. I don't think anything's helping that. I think you just have to give Josh Allen more weapons than Mac Hollins.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think you're right. Um, I think you need more weapons that you can rely on because, again, I like Dalton Kincaid a lot. I would say,
He's a good buy low, by the way. I mean, people in the community hate him right now because of that. And
well, he didn't have a very good year.
he was not good. Like Dawson Knox played more than him, but Kincaid was also injured for most of the year and was playing through an injury. And anytime you see that, and tight ends, like they should take. I mean, I know Laporta and Brock Bowers have been great year one, but historically, tight ends have taken a long time to develop, and he is probably their most talented pass catcher. So if you can buy him for, I mean, I've seen Kill go in front of Kincaid on some of these draft talks. Like I'm taking Kincaid. You should buy low.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to hear the rest of the buy lows. They do need more pass catchers, and it's like they were right to move on from Diggs. I think everyone in that building was ready to see him out. Like I think they all would have been willing to drive him to the airport themselves. And so I'm not blaming them for that. But if you're going to get rid of Diggs, you have to have a better plan than relying on Keon Coleman, who I like. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a good receiver, but relying on a rookie and relying on a second year tight end and Mac Collins and Khalil Shakur. Like,
Yeah.
you look at and like the Chiefs wide receiver core has been like, they just finally got Hollywood Brown back, but they're still kind of working him into the offense. Obviously, they lost Rashee Rice for the whole year. He was really, really good before going out. And they've got Kelsey, who they, take the Ferrari out of the garage in January and they drive it around, and he's still great in January.
Worthy
But
looked great that game too.
Worthy looked good. Like, they've got options. Do they have the best wide receivers in the league? No, but they clearly had better pass catchers in that game than Buffalo did. And it's like, if you don't have receivers who are able to make plays, then you're relying on your quarterback to make every single play, and you want there to be more of a like, I don't know, a mutual relationship, right? Um, and so I think they address that. I think you have to continue to invest on the defense because I agree that Mahomes and the Chiefs, like, they're going to be able to pick apart any defense, but you got to at least try to make it as
Oh
hard as you
yeah, I'm
possibly
not saying
can,
you don't. I'm not saying you take all your picks and go offense, but
Yeah. Josh Allen, is there any argument for him to not be the second best quarterback in the league?
no, I think he's
Like, he's better than Lamar, he's better than Burrow. Like,
well. Lamar was really good this year. I would, and let's just change it to fantasy. I'm easily taking Josh Allen and Lamar over Mahomes at this point. I think I was there a couple years ago, but people hadn't caught up yet. But and I thought Josh Allen was going to take a step back because their OC wanted to run the ball, and they did.
and they did.
Um,
And they were a good running team. Like,
yeah, and Josh Allen didn't have nearly as many like counting stats as he did.
yeah.
But man, I don't even. How many times did he fumble? How many times did he throw a pick?
Yeah.
Like he was spot on, and even in this game, you can't like give him the Herbert discussion of throwing the same amount of picks in a game that you did all season.
Mm-hmm.
Like he obviously came to play. So yeah, I would put in football terms. I guess I would put it's between Patrick, Josh Allen, and uh, Lamar. I don't think that you can put another player at in those top three.
Well, I don't think you can put Josh Allen or Lamar. Like, they don't have a conversation over Mahomes. I think you had to put Mahomes at one, and then you're fighting for number two. Come on, man, you have to. Like,
I know. I don't think
he doesn't
Mahomes
make
looked very good
mistakes.
this year.
Well, no, but they
I
have.
understand the playoffs thing. Like I understand that he's a winner, but I think that if you put Josh Allen on this team, it would look just as good. If you put Lamar Jackson on this team,
I don't think
it
you
would look
can
just
say
as
that.
good.
I don't think
Yeah,
you
I
can say
think
that.
you attribute a lot to Andy Reid.
Sure, but like
Not that Andy Reid makes
Mahomes,
Mahomes, but put
Mahomes
another great
makes.
quarterback.
Yeah. That's fine. Like, are you like? I'm not going to argue that Josh Allen or Lamar would not be elevated significantly being with Andy Reid. I'm just saying that based on the body of work, you can't argue either of them over Mahomes at this point. Like, he has a chance to have a three-peat, and since he became a starter, the floor for a Patrick Mahomes season is losing in overtime in the AFC Championship. Like, that's the worst possible season he's had since he became a starter. And he's going to his fifth Super Bowl with a chance to win his fourth. Like, that is uh, like, the
I
body
mean,
of work is
it
what
is
it
the
is.
Brady Peyton Manning discussion all over again. And you're right. Brady was the guy, and Mahomes is the guy.
Yeah.
But man, it's so hard to like put someone at Josh Allen's caliber at two. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He just does everything so well, especially this last year.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, I know. I just um no, I'm with you. I think, yeah, like, Mahomes has to be one until definitively proven otherwise, because it's like, I saw someone make the point that the entire 2022 draft class for the Kansas City Chiefs has, like, they've never known anything except for going to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl.
Must be nice.
That's insane. It's insane.
Sky Moore has how many Super Bowls?
Sky Moore. Carson Wentz
Oh
is,
yeah,
yeah, look at him racking up those rings
revenge game.
as a backup. All right, Commanders, Eagles. I need your help because I'm running out of ammunition to criticize the Eagles and to hate on the Eagles. And so I am asking a favor from my friend Rosie. Is there any way I can avoid having to eat crow about this team?
No, man. I mean, you were wrong from the start. I think we were. At least I was. I was telling you that you were wrong. Like, I don't understand what happened last year. They just completely fell apart,
Which
and
I
not
was right
even
about. I
you
did call
were.
that. So I'm
You
like
were.
1 for 2 on hating on the Eagles.
There you go. I would say bad process though, because there was no reason for them to have fallen apart like they did. Like coming off of going to the Super Bowl, they didn't really have too many injuries either. It wasn't because of injuries that they got dismantled. It was just like no one's gelling together, which is weird with a football team as talented as the Eagles. Like they have amazing players at every single position. Probably have the best offensive line in football. Probably have the best defensive line in football. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean have been the two best rookie cornerbacks in the league so far. Been absolutely shut down and amazing. They brought in CJ Gardner Johnson at safety. Zach Baum, he's an all pro linebacker. Like, you go down the list, and it's like, how do you not put this team in the Super Bowl?
Okay.
And it's Sirianni. That's the answer. He
Yeah.
sucks.
So my reasoning at the start of the season was like if I'm putting together like the blame pie for why the Eagles season was not going to go well, it was like 50% Sirianni. It was like 10% because I was skeptical of Jalen Hurts because of how the previous season ended. Um, it was like 20% the fact that they were going to be relying on these two rookie cornerbacks. I did not expect them to be this great like immediately. Um, and then honestly, and maybe I was overrating this, giving saying 20% of the blame pie, but I thought the offensive line was going to take a step back, losing Jason Kelsey. I was told Jason Kelsey was like the second coming of Jesus Christ for how important he was to this team, not only on the field, but off the field. And so I thought, man, with all the problems they had, finishing the year last year, taking away like the heart and soul of this team, like that's got to matter. That's got to mean something. And it turns out he's just an all right podcaster. And that's like it as far as his impact. So, um,
No, they
that's,
draft extremely well.
they do.
That's the issue that they present to the rest of the league.
They draft really well. And I think you could look at teams like them or Kansas City, Baltimore, San Francisco, like any of like even Detroit, the
The
teams,
stalwart franchises.
the teams that are good and they stay good, they are using every tool in their toolbox. They are hitting on draft picks, both high end draft picks and mid round draft picks. Every now and then they get a steal at the very end. They are utilizing free agency in specific spots to make their team better. And they're signing their guys and they're figuring out ways to keep their core intact. And like you look at the Eagles, they go out and they pay top money to Saquon Barkley. And you're like, well, he's a running back. But then you think about it and you're like, well, that's really that's what they needed. They needed like a just beast in that backfield with this offensive line to where they're no longer relying on DeAndre Swift or Miles Sanders or Boston Scott to like get key carries for them. Like now they've got Saquon Barkley doing hurdles backwards like that. It seems obvious in retrospect, but props to them for doing that.
Well, then, as good as Hertz is, and I do think he's a good quarterback because he can run, he's a liability. You don't want him passing 30 times a game. And so when you have someone like Saquon that you can hand it to him 30 times a game and win by 50, that's what you want to have.
Yeah. 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 No, absolutely. And I mean, that was part of the reason why I was skeptical is I was skeptical of Jalen Hurts, but he played great in that Washington game. Saquon is just awesome. And I like Nick Sirianni is the hardest thing to figure out in American sports. I don't know if he's good, if he's bad, if he was handed a Porsche and was told, "Hey, see if you can get this bad boy over 40 miles an hour and keep it there." Like I don't know. Like I don't know how
I'm
to
pretty confident
that he's not good.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he hires well. I like the Kellen Moore hire, and obviously Vic Fangio has
I mean, he's been
really
great. Yeah.
made this defense extremely good.
Yeah.
And honestly, as a head coach, like that can be your greatest quality. Like that can be the most important qualities who you hire, who you delegate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I want to talk about Jaden Daniels on the Commander side because he is just I don't even know what to say. Like I know this is a podcast, I'm supposed to know what to say, but this season and what he did is it far exceeds any possible expectation I had for his rookie season.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of him coming out. Um, just because I didn't trust him as because he stayed in college pretty late and really didn't do anything in college until his senior year. And he was also small and but obviously none of those things have been an issue and you're seeing that these quarterbacks that stay in college do find a lot of success because they're experienced and you could see that experience on the field with, you know, a subpar offensive line, subpar weapons, a questionable coordinator who I think did a lot better than I thought he was going to. Um, I don't want to repeat the same mistake with CJ Stroud because he was another guy that I did not like coming out of college, and I had to eat crow on that until this year. It's like, well, maybe he's not as good as everybody thinks that he is. So I do want to give him.
I mean, Jaden Daniels' rookie season was leaps and bounds better than CJ Stroud's.
I wouldn't say leaps and bounds. I think CJ Stroud had one of the best rookie seasons of all time.
Hold on,
And
I'm okay. I want to pull up comparing their two rookie seasons. All right, let's see. Jaden Daniels was 12-5. Or actually, I'm just going to share my screen. I think this will be easier instead of me listing off stats. All right, let's see here. All right, can you see that?
mm-hmm.
All right, so this is their rookie seasons. 12-5 versus 9-6. 69% completion percentage. Stroud had him on passing yards by about 600, but then Jaden Daniels had 700 more rushing yards, so it's kind of a wash there. Daniels had him more on more TDs. Stroud did have 4 less interceptions. Passer rating was about even. So maybe,
Yeah, I mean, you give Jaden Daniels the edge because of rushing, but I don't think that discounts what Stroud did his rookie year. Like I think they're on par with each other. If you want to have a fantasy conversation, I think what Jaden Daniels did is a lot more. It can translate to next year a lot better because of the rushing. Like he's not going to stop doing that. Like he's like Lamar Jackson, like a little bit less athletic, but honestly, like he makes a lot of good decisions running the ball that I didn't really see in college. Like in college, you would see him just run right into the defensive line and get pancaked. But he runs when he needs to, and he doesn't necessarily like do the Josh Allen thing of like rolling out to the right to throw the ball across his body. Like he doesn't do anything like that. But like he's a very smart football player. I think that he's gonna for fantasy. I think he's gonna keep it up more than Stroud did.
Yeah, I think you're right. I also think okay, so have you heard all the stuff about Jaden Daniels with his virtual reality system?
Mm-hmm.
For the listeners, I'll keep it quick, but basically, I think he started doing this before his Heisman season at LSU. But he partnered with this company to build like this virtual reality using like MetaQuest or whatever, where it simulates being a quarterback. It'll put real in-game situations where that he can progress through and go through his reads, deal with pressure, all the things that a quarterback does. But they have it programmed where it's at 1.5 speed. So he is processing everything 50% faster than he has to. So then when he goes in the game, everything seems slow. And it's like the quarterback equivalent of in baseball, when you're on the on deck circle, you put a donut on your bat so it's heavy and you take all your practice swings with that. So then whenever you get in the batter's box, it's so much lighter and you've got a much quicker bat speed. He's doing that as a quarterback. And that's why when you watch him, he looks so calm and composed and he's not rushed and nothing phases him. And it's like he's maybe the first one to do this, but now it's just going to catch on like wildfire.
I don't know why they haven't been doing that if it's so
I don't know.
Like I knew it was a thing, like virtual reality, like it was becoming a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know it was like, dang, you could like make the speed 1.5 times.
Yeah.
You can
He's like
simulate
doing
any
what we
type of
do with our
pressure. Like,
podcasts. Like,
yeah, like why every team should do that with even their veteran quarterbacks.
yeah. No,
Goff could,
absolutely.
take a look at that.
um, real quick, where are you going to rank? So this is not fantasy. This is just NFL. Where do you rank Jaden Daniels going into the 2025 season?
I hate this question. I was talking with a coworker about this yesterday, actually. He was like, "Yeah, I got to rank him top 5," and I was like, "Top 5? Really?" And I started going through, and I was like, "Oh man."
Maybe.
So those 3 quarterbacks that we talked about, Mahomes, Jackson, and Josh Allen,
Uh-huh.
I'm definitely putting Joe Burrow next.
Okay. So that's your 4.
Hmm.
I
And then
agree. I have the same top 4.
I get the playoff stuff. I get it. I get it. I like Justin Herbert better though. Like I think he has a better arm, and at least in the regular season, he can process really well, and he's
Yeah.
sneaky athletic.
So
Other
he's
than that, though, I would put him 6.
what a win though that it's like a conversation. Herbert
Yeah,
versus Jaden. That's incredible. That's crazy, man.
and what's
Good for
crazy
Commanders
is
fans.
like probably the craziest part to me. All those other rookies are pretty close to getting there too, in my eyes. Like Drake May
It was
looked
incredible. It was an
amazing.
incredible rookie class.
Yeah, Caleb Williams even. I think he had more passing yards than Jaden Daniels did, and more touchdowns. Yeah, you might have to fact check me on that.
Yeah.
And then my guy, Michael Penix. Watch out, man. Some of the stuff that he's doing on film is like actually insane. If you guys have a chance to go and watch his tape, especially against the Panthers, holy crap, man. His arm is wild.
It is, man. Yeah, I agree with you. Super Bowl matchup. What's your initial read? Like we don't have to get into a full breakdown, but just thinking about these two teams matched up, I think the line opened Kansas City -1.5. You can take it anywhere you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think these teams are pretty evenly matched, like they were in the first Super Bowl. I mean, you just have to go with the Chiefs because there's such an advantage at coach and at quarterback, in my opinion. And the rest of, like, maybe Saquon could be the difference this time around. But I won't be betting against the Chiefs unless, like, they get the Eagles get a really favorable line.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I think you have to look at. Oh, why doesn't this tell me who won or lost? Hold on. Sorry. I think it's pretty simple. You look at Patrick Mahomes' game log in the playoffs, and his losses are to Tom Brady in overtime, his rookie season or his first season as a starter. When who was it? I don't. D Ford jumped off sides, and that was the game. That's literally what decided it. Then it was losing in overtime to Joe Burrow, and then it was losing in. I guess before the Burrow game, it was losing in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers when he had no offensive line and was just running for his life all game long. That's it. Those are the 3 playoff losses. So if you don't think if he's not going up against elite Brady or Joe Burrow with like a really, really good Bengals team, or if the other team just doesn't have, if he's not at a massive disadvantage with his offensive line, I think you pick the Chiefs and you just say, yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs. I'd much rather pick the Chiefs and be wrong than pick against them and be wrong and be like, what were you thinking picking against Patrick Mahomes? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
So I think it's kind of pretty simple.
I agree. It's going to be a really fun game to watch.
Real quick, we'll run through these and then we'll get into some of the coaching stuff. I want to just like run through kind of the key matchups in the Super Bowl, and we'll each just quickly say who we think, like which team has the advantage. Coaching, so not just head coach, but just total coaching. I mean, it has to be the Chiefs, right?
Yeah, these are pretty easy.
Quarterback, Chiefs. Running back, Eagles.
Yep.
Pass catchers,
Eagles.
Okay, I think that's fair. Offensive line, Eagles.
Yep.
Defensive
The
line.
one thing that could get the Chiefs is I feel like they have some pretty big issues at tackle. That I don't think a team like the Bills, like Von Miller played good, but not Von Miller, and then Rousseau was good, but nothing crazy. The Eagles have like been rolling out like their big guns for the playoffs. Like in the regular season, these guys were on snap counts, like Jalen Carter and I think Brandon Graham's still there.
Mm-hmm.
But now, they're playing like 70% of the snaps, feeling good, feeling fresh
Mm-hmm.
against these two tackles. Like it could be an issue. So I'm gonna go Eagles D line as well.
Eagles D line. Okay, and then special teams. I think you got to say the Chiefs.
Yeah,
They led the league in blocked kicks this year. Butker is much more reliable than Jake Elliott. So
they have punt god Matt Rice,
and they have punt god. Yes, exactly. So you got to go with the Chiefs. Coaching news: the Cowboys of Dallas hired Brian Schottenheimer to be the 10th head coach in franchise
it's a
history.
big risk, man. I take risks all the time.
I've been taking risks my whole life. Okay. I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. Dallas Cowboys land, like fans, media, everyone. There's always a divide on something, whether it's Dak, whether it's, there was actually, believe it or not, Rosie, there was a select group of media and fans that thought the criticism of bringing in Zeke was not fair, and Zeke was much better than what all the pundits like to say. So there was even division. There was even division on the effectiveness of 2024 Ezekiel Elliott as an NFL running back. Okay. So that just shows you that there was never a universal sentiment with Cowboys fans and media. I have not seen one positive reaction to the hiring of Brian Schottenheimer. Not one. Not from media, not from fans, not from media who don't cover the Cowboys. Everyone is in agreement that the process was stupid, that the hiring was stupid, and that it's not going to work. And they sit up there in the press conference, and Jerry goes on these 10-minute long monologues about how much of a risk taker he is, and no one's better for the job than him. And, we got this salary cap here, and, it's, yes, we all got the same cap, but it treats each team differently. And, we got to deal with it in a different way than some of these other teams deal with it. And he just goes on and on and on. And I truly think fan disinterest and fan apathy towards the Cowboys is at an all-time high. I can't remember a time when just there was such a large number of people who are just like, I'm done. Like I don't care anymore. You've stripped away my ability to get invested. I'm sick of believing your lies. It's been going on for 30 years. I'm done. I'm over it.
They're not first in total views anymore from last year.
Are they not?
Nope. You know who was?
The Lions?
Yeah, it was Lions and the Cowboys.
They're going to be on less primetime games next year. Like they're not. There's going to be more 12 o'clock games for the Cowboys than there usually is. I think this year was already there were more 12 o'clock games for the Cowboys than like the prior several seasons. So Jerry and Steven, they've got this mindset of, hey, we're always going to be America's team. We're always going to be number one. People are always going to care about us. So it doesn't matter if we've run this team into the ground. We're the Dallas Cowboys, baby. I'm just going to warn them like that it can change. Okay.
It's getting eroded for sure.
And the thing you have to like, the thing that I think makes the Cowboys different from like the Lakers or the Yankees is those are coastal teams. Like the Lakers are always going to be interesting because they're in LA. They're in the LA market. The Yankees are always going to be talked about and interesting because they're in New York. You've got the Northeast bias, right? The Cowboys are here in Dallas, which Dallas is now the third biggest media market in the country. It surpassed Chicago this past year. But if you like, it's not LA and it's not New York. And if you want, like, media market again is not everything. Look at the irrelevance of the Chicago Bears, the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago Bulls. Like, if you were watching the Jordan Bulls in the 90s, you would have thought nothing is ever going to take this team away from being like the most relevant franchise, so dominant. And look where they are 30 years later. And I'm just saying the Cowboys can get there if they don't change their ways. And unfortunately, Jerry is just as bad, if not worse than sorry. Steven is just as bad, if not worse, than Jerry. So I don't think it's changing anytime soon.
I didn't even know Schottenheimer was the OC, to be honest.
It's because he didn't call plays. He hasn't
McCarthy
called plays
did?
since McCarthy did. Schottenheimer hasn't called plays offensively since 2020.
Yeah, I don't really understand what he brings to the table. I haven't heard anything about him other than he's the son of the other Schottenheimer, the good one.
Marty, his dad. Yeah. So
I don't
I don't know.
like,
What's your take on all this as a non-Cowboys fan?
I mean, they needed to get a guy like Ben Johnson or even, heck, Brian Flores is still out there. Like, he would kick this team in the butt like it needs. Because honestly, they just need a whole culture change. McCarthy is like, I know Trent thinks he's the worst coach to have ever lived, but he still brought the team to, 12 wins 3 years in a row. But to get over that, to get over the top, like, you need a leader. Like, you need a complete culture change. And I don't think that Schottenheimer's going to do that. Like, and so if he's not doing that, then what else is he bringing to the table? Like, maybe they can, with the roster that they have, they can win 10 games again. But I don't think they have a shot at the Super Bowl.
No, they don't. And honestly, the reason why Schottenheimer got the job is I really did just now contemplate breaking my my own personal no swearing rule on the podcast. But the reason Schottenheimer got the job is because he is willing to sign up to have Jerry's hand so far up his you know what, working him like a puppet. Because that's what Jerry wants. It's what he had with McCarthy. It's what he had with Jason Garrett. You can go all the way back. Literally, the moment that started was post Bill Parcells. Jerry has been on record talking about the Bill Parcells era, and he said it was the least enjoyable time he's ever had of owning the Cowboys because Bill Parcells would not involve Jerry in anything, and he would run the football, and he wouldn't consult Jerry on personnel decisions. And Jerry couldn't control Parcells because he was freaking Bill Parcells. And Jerry has said time and time again that was the least enjoyable time he's had owning the Cowboys. And if you look, that was a critical moment because since Parcells, every single head coach has been just a puppet for Jerry Jones. And that's why Ben Johnson was never interested. That's why Aaron Glenn was never interested. Like any of these top coaches were never going to come to Dallas because they know the culture, they know who they're dealing with, and they want to be successful. And they know that the culture here in Dallas is not successful. Yeah.
Sucks.
It's fine, man. Like I honestly, it doesn't even like, it doesn't beat me up. Like I still really enjoy the NFL. Like I enjoy watching Sundays. It's honestly nice because I don't have to feel obligated to throw the Cowboys on the big screen. I can keep Red Zone up for 7 hours of sometimes commercial football.
That's ridiculous, by the
I
way.
know. But let's talk about some other coaching decisions. Ben Johnson, your guy.
Yeah, we call him Benedict now. Benedict Johnson.
Benedict Johnson. Like Benedict Cumberbatch because it was a strange decision to leave Detroit?
No, Benedict Arnold, the traitor. I mean, I didn't. Obviously, Chicago was by far the best situation that coach could go to. I knew that. I just thought that Ben Johnson was waiting for a place where like he could be his own person and not have to live under the shadow of Dan Campbell, and at the same time have a say on who the next general manager was going to be. So I thought that he was going to go to the Raiders. No, he's going to a situation where the GM is extremely questionable, has not hired well, has not developed his players well, and in Chicago, which is just a losing franchise that I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it for Ben Johnson, and obviously I don't like it for the Lions because I'm sure that he will come up with like 30 trick plays that will probably work against this defense. I don't know that Ben Johnson is a leader necessarily. Like obviously he's a whiz at calling plays, and he's going to keep doing that. But I have questions about if he can be the leader that this young Bears team needs, that like Caleb Williams needs. But we'll have to see.
I think it's the quarterback, and I think that's it. And honestly, I think
if quarterback is good, then team's good.
Yeah,
I see that too.
And I think Ben Johnson played it really, really well, where he took all these interviews last coaching cycle and he said, hey, none of these are the right fit. Like I don't like the prospects. So we got a good thing going in Detroit. We got some unfinished business. I'm going to run it back one more year, see what the next coaching cycle looks like. And he had all the leverage. Like these teams were like swooning over the opportunity to interview him and to put together their best proposal on what the Ben Johnson era of their team could look like. And he played it perfectly. He got paid a ton of money. He's going to have so much control in that building, so much just leeway on every single decision, not just coaching, but also personnel. And I know it sucks for you as a Lions fan because you were on this podcast saying, hey, if they don't win the Super Bowl, he's coming back. Like he wants to see this thing through.
Apparently not.
I think he saw the opportunity to be an NFL head coach, and he likes the potential of Caleb Williams. And he's like, hey man, I gotta try and do this. I have to try. I know it sucks for you, but as a Caleb Williams believer and someone who's rooting for him, I love this move for the Bears. I think he's going to be a big success. I know you mentioned like the leadership stuff with him. I think him being under Dan Campbell for a few years is going to help him immensely in that category because Dan Campbell is an incredible leader and an incredible head coach. And so I think Ben Johnson has just been taking notes the past few years of, oh, okay, this is a good way to, talk to your players, talk to the media. This is a good way to handle these sort of locker room discussions. Like he's been learning from Dan Campbell, and you're a big Dan Campbell guy. That's got to mean something, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. But we'll see if he can swim on his own.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking
Hopefully
of
not.
Lions coordinators swimming on their own, Aaron Glenn is also
Wish him all the best. Good luck, man.
Oh man, gosh. He's now the head coach of the Jets. What do you think about that move?
Well, the Jets had drafted him when Aaron Glenn was a player, and man, Aaron Glenn is a very good motivator, and I think he brings out a lot of the best of his guys. Even when I think he was the defensive backs coach with the Saints before he was DC with the Lions.
Yeah.
He had an interview to get the Jets head coaching job back then. So I think this has been coming for a while. The only issue with him is I don't know that he adjusts super well. Like, obviously, this Lions defense has not been good the last 3 years since he's been defensive coordinator. I think that part of that real lies solely on him. Saleh had gotten the best out of the Jets defense and it fell apart after him. I don't see Aaron Glenn coming in and fixing that. I think the Jets can only have success if Aaron Glenn hires the right people and is the Dan Campbell kind of guy, like can bring in the right pieces, but he can take a step back and be the overall leader, which I think that he's amazing at. And so we'll see who they hire at offensive coordinator. But at DC, they hired Steve Wilkes. I think he was interim coach for the Panthers back in the day. Love that hire. He seems like a really good fit. So far so good, but it's the Jets, so we'll see.
It's the Jets. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic for him because I think he's a really good coach. They have to figure out the offensive coordinator and they have to figure out the quarterback. Because I think the defense is good, and I think Saleh, you're right, got a lot out of that defense, and I think Aaron Glenn can get a lot out of that defense, but the offense is the problem. You got to get a quarterback, you got to get an offensive coordinator, and they've got to be in lockstep. And there hasn't been a coordinator in lockstep with Aaron Rodgers in about 6 years. So,
I don't think Aaron Rodgers stays there.
No, he won't. But I don't know what they do. Like,
try to buy Jordan Travis if you guys can. I had suggested him as a rookie pick last year, and he had a setback in his ACL tear. So that's why he didn't play last year, but he should be healthy now. And he was a fairly interesting prospect. Oh, did we lose Andrew? Huh, I don't know what to do. I guess I can finish the podcast on my own. Andrew can cut this out if it's not good. So the Raiders hire. Actually, I'll save this. I'll do my dynasty buy lows first. Okay, he's just gonna have to cut this. Welcome back.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it still show recording for you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hit stop recording. Hold on.